Hi friends, it's Tresa. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Frugal from Scratch. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're back to watch more videos, I'm so glad to have you here. It's such a blessing and I'm so excited to share with you today. If you saw my video last, well, I don't know when this will go up, but my February Azure haul, I got a 20-pound box of apples. And I'm so excited to tell you that these 6 apples right here are the last of my apples. And I'm gonna work while I talk to you so I don't keep you here forever on this video. So I made a crisp earlier in the week. I gave a few apples to my daughter so she could make a crisp. And the crisp is really yummy. So I saved a few and then I took the rest of the apples and I cut them up and made them into apple pie filling, and I canned them, water bath canned them, and I was so proud of myself because I've got all the apples processed in a week. I had pears in the fall and I had them for like over a month before I got all of them done, and I froze them. I didn't even think about canning, and now I have all these pears in the freezer and they're taking up space in the freezer when I could have canned them. So canning the apples was super easy. And I just made up an apple pie. I put the apples in with some water and sugar and cinnamon, basically, and lemon juice, so that preserves them, and a little bit of salt. And they came out delicious. I put arrowroot powder in to thicken, not quite as thick as I would have liked, so next time I will make sure that I do a little bit of a better job so that they get a little bit thicker, but mostly they were really delicious, and it's all done. And I'm so glad to have all these apples processed. So the crisp is really yummy, and I wanted to share my recipe with you because an apple crisp is, in my mind, is almost as good as an apple pie. I mean, there is definitely something about a pie that is absolutely delicious. Nothing beats an apple pie, but an apple crisp is quicker and easier, and it's, you know, health-wise, it's about the same. You're gonna have some sugar in either one, and really less gluten, you know, carbs, because you're using a little bit of flour in the crisp topping, but not as much as you would in a pie. And it's, like I said, much easier to throw together. So I've been making crisps for years. These apples are really very, very delicious. And I think that was part of why this one was so good, because the apples were so sweet. The apples that I got from Azure were apples that they called juicing apples, and they were on sale because a lot of them were bruised and they had spots on them and stuff, but you can certainly use them for stuff like this. Hey, sorry, there's a dog over here making a lot of noise. You just went outside and you are fine. Go lay down. Sorry about that. And the chickens are happy because all the scraps of all the cores and the peels and this, the mushy spots and everything, I've been saving up for them. And every day I've been giving them some apple scraps, and they think it's wonderful because there's still snow on the ground and they can't get to the grass, and they're like, oh, not finding as many bugs, and they're happy to have snacks. So that's been a win too. So I just saved all the cores and everything, and I have a porch that's really cold, so I just keep them out there. As long as they're in a covered container, they're fine. It's like being in a deep freeze on that porch, so they're good. So what do you like to do with apples? I also like to make applesauce, and I thought about this time, but I really wanted to try the apple pie filling, and honestly, it's almost like making applesauce, really. You can eat it. We had some of the apples, we ate them just right out of the pot, and they were really sweet and delicious. So And like I think I said, I used arrowroot powder. It wasn't quite as thick. Next time I would thicken it up a little bit more than I did. Sorry about the noise of the knife. I'm trying to make the slices for the crisp nice and thin, because the thin slices will cook faster. The topping's gonna cook pretty easily, and you want it to just get nice and juicy and bubbly, so the apples cook and your topping gets crispy, and just the butter melts and it cooks through. So, but like I said, super simple. I've had butter out softening all day, and I'm making this in the late afternoon so that we can have it like after dinner. And if you're gonna have dessert, have it after a meal with protein, because then it doesn't spike your blood sugar as much. Did you know that? So if you're gonna have something sweet, that's when you wanna eat it. You don't wanna have something sweet in the middle of the afternoon or like before you go to bed, and then your blood sugar goes, woo! And you don't want that to happen. But if you have protein, like, you know, you have chicken or beef or whatever you have for dinner, and so you've had a good meal that has plenty of protein in it, then when you eat your sweet treat afterwards, there's enough protein in you that it's going to help to stabilize that blood sugar. And then of course move around. So don't just go, you know, eat a big bowl of apple crisp and then go sit down. You want to move around a little bit, clean up the kitchen, go for a walk if the weather's nice enough for that, or do some squats or whatever you can, just to kind of move around a little bit and keep your body going, so that the sugar from whatever it is that you're eating, you know, the sugar in the topping of the crisp and the sugar from the apples and whatever goes into the muscles as you're moving your body, and it doesn't spike and go into your blood sugar and spike your blood sugar. So there are some tricks around that. And did you know that every time your blood sugar spikes, it ages all the cells in your body? And we don't want to age prematurely if we don't have to. Epigenetics shows us that we can actually live younger, longer if we use some of these tricks. There's some great metabolic health products out there, and there are some supplements. I've seen lots of them. dōTERRA has one that I've used and I share a lot, that is a capsule that you can take before a meal that you're going to have a lot of carbs, and what it does is it helps to slow down the carbs, so your body's processing them in a healthier way, and they're not going to spike your blood sugar. And that supplement has been something that's been really helpful to a lot of people. It has berberine in it, and I've seen a lot of other supplements come out like that recently. And I'm sure the other ones are good too. I don't know enough about a lot of the other ones, but I know the research behind the dōTERRA one has been excellent. And so that's another option too. But there are also some simple hacks that you can do, like, you know, the moving after meals and eating a savory breakfast and eating dessert or any kind of sweets. Like if you're going to have a piece of chocolate or ice cream or just, you know, anything, the dessert loaded with sugar, do it after your meal and then move around a little bit, and then you'll be much better off. So this one has a lot of spots on it, but I'm telling you, they're really, really delicious apples. A friend of mine said that her son says Azure apples are the most delicious, sweetest apples on the planet. And I wasn't quite sure because I hadn't gotten apples from them, but I totally agree. They are delicious. And it's not really apple season right now, right? Apples usually are late summer, fall season. Around here, I know it's not apple season, but apples can be stored. And these are all organic apples too, which is a next added bonus. And really very yummy. So I'm on my last apple, and then I'll make my toppings. Like I said, I've had the butter softening. The butter that I'm using, and that probably helps with the taste of this too, is organic grass-fed butter that I get from Azure. I buy a case of it at a time. It's not inexpensive. If you're buying organic butter from the store, this is way more delicious. As a matter of fact, when we first tried it, we were like, wow, like this is like, it almost tastes like frosting without the sugar. And like, it's so good. I could eat a spoonful of it. It's that delicious. And I love using it in baking because I think it makes the baked goods just sweeter and really, really delicious. So I've had that softening. It comes in a 1 pound log. So you have to kind of estimate and cut it to separate it into what would be like sticks of butter. So I use about 6 to 8 tablespoons of butter. All right, so the apples are all in here. I'm gonna show you. I've got all my apples sliced in the pan, ready to go. And let me move them out of here because the top's getting hot. And what I have in here so far is, there's my butter. See, it's like this round, comes in a long log, so I've cut it into sections. And then I have some flour in here, about half a cup. And I'm gonna add some brown sugar. And then I will show you what I am going to do. And yes, I use real brown sugar when I'm making something like this, because and cinnamon. If you're gonna make the crisp, then you want it to be delicious, right? So I just sprinkle the cinnamon. I don't really measure. I like to make it nice and cinnamony. And I have, this was, I think my mom's or my grandmother's. It's a pastry, I don't know what the real name for it is, but it's a pastry. You would use it for like pastry dough, or I always use it for toppings like this because it really mashes up the butter. Move the scraps out of the way. It just, you just kind of rock it back and forth. It does get some stuff to it. You gotta kind of get the stuff off it every once in a while. You could use a fork for this as well, but this just makes it go a little faster. And so what you want to do is just really incorporate all of this until the butter is really incorporated into the flour and brown sugar, and almost like crumbs, like wet sand. And then you're gonna pour it over the top and you're gonna bake it in the oven. It's, like I said, one of the simplest recipes. And for people that don't bake or don't cook a lot, they're like, apple crisp? Yeah, so easy. You can throw an apple crisp together. How long are we leaving on here? About 13 minutes. So including the little bit that I did before I jumped on to record this, it's been 15 minutes. By the time I get it in the oven, so like literally in the time the oven takes to preheat, you can have it thrown together. I had pre-washed the apples and I had peeled them before I got on. And there we go. It's just about ready. I will show you the consistency of what it looks like. Some of the pieces are going to be a little bit bigger. Some of them are going to be a little bit smaller. But it really, it's not like baking a cake, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And you can kind of guess on how much of whatever you want to put in here. I don't even have a spoon, so I'm gonna put a little more cinnamon in. And I'm gonna give it one more little toss with this. I'm just gonna use my hands actually to get it in the pan. And I'll show you. So you want to get all that good butter off there. And yeah, all right. So there you see, it's kind of like really crumbly. And then I'm gonna take my pan with the apples and I'm gonna pour it over top. Spread it around so it covers all the apples kind of evenly. And I'm gonna pop it in the oven right now. And it's gonna have to bake probably a good 30 minutes or so. It's a deep dish. If you went with a shallower dish, you would probably cook a little bit faster. I like a deeper dish because you got more apples with your topping. So I'm gonna let it bake for about 30 minutes and I'll check it. And I'll come back and show you when it's done, how delicious it looks and how they can be simple, guys. It's really not complicated to make an apple crisp. Your family will love it. I just took the apple crisp out of the oven and it smells so good. I wish you could smell it through the video. It smells amazing in here, the cinnamon and the apples. And look at how delicious it looks. Can you hear it? It's sizzling and it's amazing. It smells so good. So it took about 35 minutes. Like I said, this is a deeper dish. If you did it in a shallower dish like a pie plate, and it wasn't as many apples or as heavy, but the dish was full to the top when let me see if you can see, it was full all the way to the top, and as it cooks down. So that's why I like to use a deeper dish. Just gives you more apples with the topping, so you're not getting as much of the sugary. And I don't want you to think that I eat like this all the time, because I do love, I mean, everybody loves a sweet dessert once in a while, but I do a lot of coconut sugar, I do a lot of honey and maple syrup. Something like this, I think you could do coconut sugar, to be honest with you. I haven't tried it. I will give that a try and let you know. It would be kind of tricky to do with, I guess you could do it, but it's going to make it more soupy if you did it with honey or maple syrup. And because then the liquid with the butter and everything, it's not really going to do the same thing. The flour and the sugar together with the butter kind of crisp up, and that's why they call it a crisp, right? So, and make that topping a little bit crunchy and delicious. But if you're not eating this every day, or you have a little bit and you're not eating like a huge thing of it, you know, so if you've got a big family or you've got friends coming and you make this once in a while, it's a great treat. So honestly, it's Lent now, and so I'm not eating a lot of sweets. I will have a little bit of this probably tonight, and because I want to taste it and see how it came out, because I tend to throw recipes together and not write down everything that I do. And pretty much this recipe is the same. Once in a while, I'll add a little bit of cane sugar. I don't do like bleached white sugar, but I'll do a little bit of organic cane sugar mixed with the brown sugar. And when I made it the other day, I don't think I did that. I think I did all brown sugar, but I don't remember. So I will taste it a little bit just to see how it tastes, if it's the same or different than the other one I made. But I don't eat a ton of sweets, honestly. I try to eat more. Like, I did eat a couple of these apples, just whole apples, because that's really, but because they were juicing apples and they were bruised and they were, you know, already starting to turn, I wanted to use them up quickly, because if I let them sit for too long, the bruising would have just gotten more, you know, more spots and stuff. They weren't really meant for eating apples, but I will get eating apples from them in the fall, because they were so good that I'll get some eating apples. And I love to eat apples. I always keep apples on hand, and if you keep them in the fridge, they last for a while, or in a cold, you know, a cool spot. These are probably apples that they've had around for a while, because like I said, it's not apple season. So that's why they're juicing apples, and they're meant for either processing like this or juice or whatever. So if you buy apples in season and keep them cool, then they're going to last a little bit longer. And if they start turning, then you could do something like this with them, you know, or make applesauce. You can make applesauce without sugar. Applesauce is a super easy. You just put it in a pot, peel the apples, cut them up, put them in a pot and cook them. You don't need sugar. You can just add a little cinnamon if you want the cinnamon flavor, and they're good to go. And then you're not adding extra sugar on top of that. So I just wanted to mention that. And if you decide to try making this apple crisp, super easy recipe, and I'll be posting that on my blog and in my newsletter. So check it out, and remember to check for the links below for how to get the newsletter and for how to access my blog and all those things. And there's some free PDFs and different things that you can check out too. And if you want to place an order with Azure Standard and get yourself some apples or some other products or flowers or whatever, produce, whatever, I have a link below for that as well. And you can check them out. I hope that you're having a great day. God bless you. And I will see you again here soon on Frugal from Scratch. Remember, healthy can be simple.